1, 2. Is this on?
One of the ways fans voice their displeasure is by derailing and taking over matches and segments.
Lord, this place is insane.
Smart fans, they're not insane, they're brilliant.
They're chanting my name.
They've gone nuts.
Crowds usually do this by frequently chanting negative things,
They're chanting everything under the sun.
or by finding ways to entertain themselves while ignoring the action in the ring. Doing this can be a form of protest, or it can simply illustrate an audience's indifference to what's being presented to them.
I think they're chanting, "We want Lesnar."
Join us as we go through several matches that were negatively affected by an audience, as well as 2 examples where crowd hijacking was done positively. Here are 10 more times fans hijacked the match. We start with a match that featured the ever-polarizing Roman Reigns going against someone who the audience didn't care for in Jinder Mahal, occurring at the Money in the Bank pay-per-view in 2018. It was clear the people weren't going to be into this match right from the beginning, as the Chicago faithful rained down chants for one of their hometown favorites.
Simply a spectator, much like we are.
This was followed by a boring and NXT chants.
Looking to strategize with Sunil.
Fans later showed their appreciation for someone they'd see wrestle later in the night. Chicago then let us know what they thought of the match.
And I do like the gameplay. I don't like you getting sucked in, or the rest of us.
The crowd then went back to ignoring the action in the ring.
20, 30 minutes deep, and the big dogs somehow find.
By this point, the audience's attention was directed off camera to a beach ball that was quickly confiscated by security.
It's final. It is what it is.
But sometimes when if you were giving a...
Let's Go Beach Ball chants soon followed. Some of the last pieces of Hijacks saw the fans perform a wave. There were small smatterings of other chants as things finally came to an end with Reigns picking up the win. The match took a complete backseat to the crowd, who had no interest in the bout given the participants involved. Next we have a case where the fans were invested in both the wrestlers but still hijacked the match with angry chants. This happened at NXT TakeOver Dallas when Finn Balor defended the NXT Championship versus Samoa Joe. Joe was busted open almost immediately, quickly developing a crimson mask that the referee attempted to clean up any chance he got. The medical team then had to step in as Joe's eye was bleeding like a fountain. The frequent stops received jeers and various chants from the crowd.
Has to be very careful. First 30 seconds of this match.
It looked like the fans could finally enjoy the match as normal, with "Joe is gonna kill you" chants echoing throughout the arena. Joe continued to bleed heavily though. Due to how deep his cut was, this led to further breaks in the action that enraged the fans.
It's anywhere near your eye, it's going to swell up.
The medics cleaned up Joe one more time, which drew chants that Joe himself agreed with. The fans then watched the last 7 minutes of action without any interruption, as Finn Balor retained the NXT title. The match will be remembered for the constant stoppages and how the unrest in the audience grew after each one. In a PG environment, matches will usually stop to clear up any blood, especially a cut like the one we saw here. But given the type of character Joe was, perhaps this is one example where the wrestler should have been allowed to bleed. Nevertheless, recurring match stops just weren't going to fly in front of such a hardcore NXT crowd. Bizarro World is the term often used by WWE to describe arenas where the reaction for the wrestlers is different from the norm.
Like Barcelona against Real Madrid.
Toronto was given this label more than most due to the city's boisterous crowds.
From the WWE Universe.
Bizarro World here in Toronto.
SummerSlam 2004 was a perfect example of this. The fans in attendance booed several babyfaces on the show, including all of the women involved in the Divas Dodgeball match, as well as Eugene and Edge. Then for JBL's WWE title defense against The Undertaker, the crowd decided to have some fun. The bout began with various mild chants from different sections of the arena. The first bit of real shenanigans came when the Air Canada Centre broke out into a wave.
WWE Championship match in the ring, and these fans are doing a wave.
Spanish table chants soon followed.
Well, the people here are chanting Spanish table. So, I guess they like the looks of the table.
The match ended when Taker hit Bradshaw with the title belt for the DQ. Afterward, a fan jumped on top of JBL's limousine, which received the pop.
Undertaker's been disqualified after JBL and Orlando Jordan.
But the fan was lucky not to fall through the limo based on what happened next, as the dead man destroyed Layfield with a chokeslam through the gimmick roof of the vehicle.
Oh my God, come on,
This was one of the few occasions where fans hijacked an Undertaker match. Props to Taz for acknowledging the fans' antics, as one of the worst things you can do in a situation like this is to ignore the crowd.
Booed the women, they booed Eugene, and now they're doing a well cover.
The 2015 Royal Rumble event is proof that fans can negatively hijack entire shows because they don't like what they're seeing. The NXT TakeOver London show that took place the same year was the complete opposite. Here the fans stole the show by singing and chanting for wrestlers they liked and matches they enjoyed. The fans were vocal from the opening bell where they chanted in favor of Asuka.
Such a high-profile signing to the women's division.
During the tag title bout, there were chants reminiscent of the ones you'd hear on a match day in a British football stadium. The London crowd famously serenaded Bayley during her women's title match against Nia Jax.
And she can defend it. Until that happens, there's a chance.
All in all, it was an incredibly fun show with great matches that were made even better thanks to a raucous crowd.
Just squeeze! Just squeeze!
Crowds will sometimes play with beach balls during matches they're not interested in, or if they just want to have some fun. One such match where beach balls were perhaps the most prevalent was when Seth Rollins and Kofi Kingston wrestled Sheamus and Cesaro on the Raw after WrestleMania 35. Fans were already on edge before the match, since they'd been robbed of a Kofi Kingston and Seth Rollins encounter thanks to a run-in from the bar which set up the tag match.
Joining forces here tonight on Monday Night Raw.
During the commercial, the crowd brought out the first beach ball of the night, which was unsurprisingly confiscated. A second beach ball was also grabbed by Cesaro. We Want Beach Ball chants could be heard after Raw returned from commercial.
Knife edge chop from the Beast Slayer.
Before a third and fourth beach ball then appeared. It was Beach Ball Mania in the stands. Back in the ring, AEW chants preceded the match's final sequence.
Yeah, Kofi all fired up, measuring his man.
Kofi hit a Trouble in Paradise to set up a curb stomp that allowed Kingston and Rollins to earn the victory. This was a signature Raw after WrestleMania party match. ECW crowds were notoriously some of the most unforgiving fans of all time, so it was no surprise to see how they reacted to Big Show and Batista's match from the revived version of ECW in 2006. This was a match between two WWE wrestlers fighting over a WWE version of an ECW title in front of an original ECW audience, taking place in the Hammerstein Ballroom in Midtown Manhattan, a venue that was once a hotbed for Extreme Championship Wrestling. The crowd were on both wrestlers' backs immediately. Batista even argued with one fan, despite being a babyface. "You both suck" chants dominated the opening exchange. During the commercial, Big Show flipped off the crowd, told them how he felt, and then insulted a fan. All the while, the crowd continued to spit bullets with their chants.
World champion, the Big Show.
That's the worst feeling in the world when people start on your match. Why is it boring? You know, it's boring because they're not interested. They're not emotionally invested.
Change the channel. Oh, we like it here on Sci-Fi.
Show would grab the title belt and hit Batista across the head with it, causing a disqualification.
Oh, there it is. Waiting right in front of the referee.
This decision summed up just how tone deaf and out of place both the match and the ECW revival was. Next, we'll look at a similarly hardcore New York audience that disliked the wrestlers in the ring. This time it was because the wrestlers in the match were set to leave the company. We're talking about the infamous Brock Lesnar and Goldberg match from WrestleMania 20 inside Madison Square Garden. Before either man could lock up, deafening "You Sold Out" chants, as well as the "Hey Hey Hey Goodbye" song, reverberated around MSG. This infuriated Lesnar and Goldberg, who still hadn't touched, prompting special referee Stone Cold Steve Austin to remind them that the match had begun. The crowd soon turned their attention to the rattlesnake. Things eventually got physical, but the match continued to be panned by the audience.
The egos of these two massive individuals. Austin now reluctantly beginning a...
Hogan chants rang out from the crowd as a fan dressed as the Hulkster engaged in a promo battle with a fan dressed as the Macho Man. Both fans were reportedly thrown out for disrupting the show.
Find that somewhat offensive, but in any event, right now...
Goldberg eventually got the win by hitting his spear and jackhammer combination. Following the match, Lesnar threw up the double birds first to the camera.
That was to Vince right there. That wasn't to the fans.
And then to Austin, leading to Brock eating a stunner. There was one for Goldberg too, as Stone Cold stood tall in the ring, bringing an end to one of the most surreal matches in WWE history. As we've seen, if someone is leaving and the crowd knows about it, then there's a good chance the fans might turn on the wrestler. This is what The Rock also experienced during his WWE Championship defense against Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam 2002. The fans knew Rock was set to leave for Hollywood again. This, coupled with the show taking place in a wrestling hotbed like New York, meant the Great One wouldn't be going in as a clear fan favorite like usual. It was more of a mixed reaction for the People's Champion. The Long Island crowd were absolutely electric.
The audience was just going back and forth. The audience was a typical New York audience. They were having their own good time.
Meanwhile, the wrestlers maintained a similar energy, reacting to each chant they heard.
With the Rock, enters the ribs of the Rock, keeping the pressure on the lower back. Now the Rock the chance. I'm begging these people to pick a side.
The Rock even stopped at one point to take it all in.
Rock, you need to pick the game up now, my man. The undisputed title.
The finish came when Lesnar countered a rock bottom into an F5. Brock became the youngest WWE champion to date at age 25 in what proved to be a star-making match. After the show went off the air, The Rock embraced the negative reaction, firmly planting the seeds for the Hollywood Rock run that was to follow.
Sing along with The Rock is over.
All in all, the fans hijacking this match worked in its favor. It was awesome to see how split the audience were at times. It made for one of the all-time great WWE main events, which drew comparisons to Rock's clash with Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania 18 earlier that year. For our last two entries, we'll go back to Roman Reigns' 2018 run, starting with his challenge for Brock Lesnar's Universal Championship at WrestleMania 34. A large number of people simply were not interested in seeing this match. Fans were expecting Lesnar to return to the UFC.
I'm coming for you.
Meaning Mania 34 was likely to be another crowning moment for Reigns, someone who many of the audience were not behind. This meant the audience quickly turned on the match. They began their hijack with chants for wrestlers who either weren't with the company or on the show.
A separated shoulder after that. Oh my God.
Then it was beach ball time, but security was quick to snatch the ball away, leading to boos and delete chants.
If it means tearing the title, he's had an opportunity.
Another ball appeared, however this one was gone within a few minutes.
Lesnar still stalking.
You Birds Suck chants and a wave also took place but couldn't be heard or seen on the actual broadcast. The more F5s Reigns kicked out of, the more the fans began to boo and jeer.
Oh my God.
And now Lesnar delivering the straight right-handed blow.
Following a 6th F5, Lesnar picked up the win, surprising many in the process. Once he got back through the curtain, Brock hurled the Universal title at Vince McMahon. This was reportedly due to Vince changing the original finish, which would have had Reigns winning. A month after Mania, and fans still weren't taking well to the big dog. Reigns had been getting booed out of buildings in the lead up to his match at Backlash 2018 versus Samoa Joe. The show had already gone late by the time the Roman Joe match began, resulting in large sections of fans leaving, while many of the ones that remained proceeded to take over the show's main event between the two Samoans, which despite a hot start before the bell, was marred by rest holds. This gave fans the perfect opportunity to start up numerous chants.
He's 25%. That's why he's the he is today.
And it looks like Samoa Joe.
Attention then turned away from the match.
No question, this pace favors Samoa Joe.
Reigns got the win after hitting a spear as the droves of people could be seen leaving the arena, putting an end to a pay-per-view that is best remembered for its weak final match. The hijacking of the main event would have been worse had much of the crowd not already left, while for the ones that stayed, you could tell how tired they were following a lengthy show. Now, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to check out our first installment of 10 times fans hijacked the match. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time.